Come join me on a route that I've not yet taken on this channel. While I may be flying to a departure fix I've flown to and flying a similar route I've taken in the past, I'm excited about this flight because my destination from LaGuardia is Orlando, MCO. Welcome back to my channel, viewers. Today, I'm approaching LaGuardia Airport from the north, and while nearing the airport, I noticed aircraft departing on runway 13, the runway I anticipate taking off on since the wind will remain stable for the next few hours. Every departure I see is flying the Whitestone climb with a right turn to the south, then a left turn to the northeast. While this is the case for all the flights that I see on my ride to the airport, it doesn't necessarily mean that my flight will be doing this. I'm not sure if we'll do this or continue to the south today, but what I'm fully sure of is that I won't head to LaGuardia or any airport without my extra key case in my pocket. This key case is slim and protects up to 8 keys that would normally scratch my leg from the inside of my pocket. This case has a great look because it's made of premium leather and stainless steel, and it really reduces bulk in my pocket. You can even add your card keys to it, and the best feature that Extra provides is that a tracker can be added to make it unlosable. Just download the Tracker app on your phone. This key case, along with my Extra wallet, which also has a tracker, comes with me wherever I go. High quality and reliability is what makes Extra my go-to brand when it comes to essentials that need to travel with me. Want an Extra product yourself? Well, you're in luck since Extra is having a Father's Day sale, and from now until June 20th, you can receive up to 35% off an Extra product by using the link in the description or using code Masella. That's Masella. Trust me, you don't want to bypass this. As a Sky Priority customer, my ride is dropping me off at a special Sky Priority door, but the Sky Priority door is closed, so I'm actually going to work my way around the corner to go in through the main area. Okay, I'm inside the terminal right now. I actually dropped off my bag at the person outside, so I don't need to go to the Sky Priority check-in area inside. The red area is the indoor Sky Priority check-in area located one level below TSA. This time I'll take the elevator up to the TSA level. Tell me this is not one of the most gorgeous departure areas you've ever seen. Probably. Bear with me as I remove my Extra key case from my pocket as I go through TSA. Okay, just cleared TSA, and right after TSA is this beautiful view of the ramp here at LaGuardia. Love it. There goes the departure off of runway 13. We'll be there soon. It's morning time, so it's time for breakfast. Here's the plane I'll be taking. It's actually the very first A321 delivered to Delta around 7 years ago. Originally, it had a tail number of November 301DN, but DN was changed to DV to honor Captain Dave Vorgias, a Delta pilot who passed away about a year after this plane started flying for Delta. While I was staring at the plane, I heard a loud noise and I rushed to the window to point my camera up. The rarest of the rare was happening. A fighter jet was taking off on runway 13. Whoa, you don't see that a lot here at LaGuardia. This is what things normally look like at LaGuardia. Here we see a Spirit A320 climbing. It's time to head on over to that A321. And it's going to be a long walk to get there because she's parked at the old Terminal D and the old head house is still in the way, so I have to take a long temporary path around it to get there. Several minutes later, here she is up close. MCO, here we come. This exact plane, the first of its kind delivered to Delta, was delivered in Hamburg on March 16, 2016 before it was ferried to Atlanta the next day. Even though it was the first one to be delivered to Delta, it was actually the second Delta A321 to be used on a revenue flight. The A321 has 191 seats. In the last 7 years, I've flown on countless A321s, so it was nice to be on the very first one that was delivered to Delta. This plane initially flew its first flight out of Atlanta. It's a big narrow-body plane designed to eventually replace the aging 757 fleet, which after 7 years, well, 757s are still flying for Delta. But I'll take the 757 over the A321 because of the larger windows on a 757, which gives me more surface areas to film out the window to make more videos like this to bring to you. We're ready for pushback, but can't move yet because another Delta A321 is being pushed back from the gate behind us. This one is newer to Delta and was delivered in 2019. You'd think we could push once this plane clears our hind area, but we still have to wait for another Delta plane, an A220. This is an arrival, and we need to wait for it to pull into the gate further down the ramp. This one first flew in 2019. Don't forget to check out my A220 video, which features a loo with a view. Now that both planes have cleared the ramp, we can finally push back onto the ramp under the control of the ramp controller. For now, we're not moving on our own power, but rather the power of a tug that first pushes us back, then forward to position our flight at the beginning of the active taxiway. We're now ready to taxi to runway 13, and the ground controller is giving us clearance to taxi out to the northwest towards runway 13. However, we need to cross runway 422 to get there, so our taxi instructions have us to a point to hold short of the crossing runway. Today, runway 422 is being used in the direction of runway 4, as runway 4 is the landing runway, so we taxi to the midpoint of runway 4 to hold short, so arrivals from runway 4 to terminal B and C can vacate the runway in the area that would be a straight path for us to cross the runway. So we taxi down to taxiway Echo, midway down runway 4, and wait. Today, the plane that we're waiting for is an American Airlines A321, the same type of airplane that we're on now. Once that plane passes in front of us, ground control has us cross runway 4 for a taxi to a staging area on the other side of the runway. Now, I mentioned that we'll be going to a staging area. On this side of runway 4, believe it or not, there are a few excess taxiways that the ground controller can place aircraft on to ensure that they're separated properly between the various departure fixes. For example, if two aircraft have to fly over the same departure fix, air traffic control may deem that they need to be separated by at least 7 minutes for volume, so the controller may have planes wait on taxiways that lead to runway 13 until the appropriate time comes for them to take off. One by one, each aircraft will be released by ground control. I'm enjoying my view of aircraft staged on taxiway Double Delta, including this 17-year-old American Airlines A319 painted in America West heritage colors. America West was acquired by U.S. Airways in 2005, and U.S. Airways merged into American 10 years later, so it's always nice to see the logos of an airline that still carries on, but under a different brand. We're up next for takeoff, and we are sequenced appropriately between other flights. Today, our departure fix will be white. The tower is ready to have us line up and wait on runway 13. We won't be issued takeoff clearance, of course, until the runway is clear, and that also means that the intersection of runway 13 with runway 4 is also clear. As we saw earlier, runway 4 is the arrival runway, and the tower controller is monitoring arrivals. To be issued takeoff clearance, there should be no aircraft on short final to runway 4, and for aircraft landing, the aircraft could potentially continue the landing roll on runway 4 through the intersection of runway 13. Most aircraft will clear runway 4 before the intersection of runway 13, but many go through. In today's case, we're issued takeoff clearance right away, as the last arrival was able to clear runway 4 before the intersection of our runway. Unfortunately, being on the left-hand side of the aircraft, I was unable to capture that on camera. Let's take off on the 7,000-foot-long runway 13. If you watched my video from 2 weeks ago, when we took off on runway 13, we actually flew runway heading on what's called the tennis climb, but today we turned right to a heading of 180 degrees, just like the planes I saw as my ride was driving me to the airport this morning. All of those planes eventually turned to the left, to the northeast, on what's called the Whitestone climb. With our departure fix being over the south, White, over New Jersey, we could potentially fly the Whitestone climb, or we can continue straight on the Coney climb. If we fly the Coney climb, that will save us time as we head in the general direction that we're flying now. The problem is, I won't know until about 1.5 miles from takeoff. If we start a left turn, we're on the Whitestone climb. If we continue straight, we'll be on the Coney climb. Let's just wait and see. Alas, I'm confident we're flying the Coney climb since we did not turn to the left. We're under the control of the New York Departure Controller and have a great view of eastern Queens and Nassau County in the distance. Queens has a population of 2.4 million and shares a border with the also very heavy populated Nassau County. Both counties are on the island of Long Island, but Queens is associated with New York City and the 5 boroughs, whereas Long Island is associated with Long Island itself, along with Suffolk County. From up here, it just looks like people live everywhere. In a moment, we're going to turn further to the right on this climb, which will bring us toward the Canarsie VOR along the Belt Parkway. We're remaining clear of airspace for JFK, which is the airspace that we're looking at right now. And coming up in a moment, we're going to have a spectacular view of the other airport in Queens, John F. Kennedy International. LaGuardia is such a tight operation with just 2 runways that intersect, but JFK is massive. It covers 8 square miles and has 2 sets of parallel runways, all facing the same direction as LaGuardia's runways. At the time of filming this, the 4s were in use, runway 4 left for departures and runway 4 right for arrivals. That makes the operation much more efficient than what we experienced in LaGuardia, but honestly, less exciting for me. Despite the broader range of airlines and aircraft at JFK, the intersecting runways at LaGuardia provides an adrenaline rush, and it always keeps the flyer on their toes.
You, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
that you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of your ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Just south of JFK is Jamaica Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. We'll soon head towards our departure fix white as we climb under the control of departure control. We're really going to keep moving in the general direction we're flying in now for nearly the entirety of this flight. The only major turns will be just before landing in Orlando because this afternoon in Orlando, the winds are coming from the north, so we'll have to land to the north, which means we'll need to make a U-turn to line up with the runway and land. We're only over the ocean for a brief period while flying toward White intersection in New Jersey. This is a mostly land-based flight, and the first set of land in New Jersey for passengers on this side of the airplane is Sandy Hook, a 6-mile-long barrier spit. Beyond this is the Jersey Shore. We'll fly over the ocean again once we approach Florida. This is Seabright, New Jersey. Here you can clearly see how the barrier island creates protection for the mainland. This is a close-up of Long Branch, New Jersey. Seaside towns are quite desirable places to live, especially in the summer. Here we're looking at the Manasquan Inlet, which connects the Atlantic Ocean with the Manasquan River, dividing the New Jersey counties of Ocean County and Monmouth County. With so much protected water by the barrier island, boating is clearly a popular activity down there. These wakes from all these pleasure boats look like contrails from jets in the sky. What a unique view down there. As we continue along the Jersey Shore, we reach our cruising altitude. Here we are looking at Long Beach Island, not to be confused with Long Beach in Nassau County. Finally, in New Jersey, I caught a glimpse of Atlantic City and its airport before clouds started taking over the airspace. This in-flight entertainment screen shows the route we've taken so far. We're just going to head down in the direction we're going for now for the remainder of the en route phase of flight. And here's another look at it further along. Since there wasn't much to see on Earth, I kept an eye out for air traffic like this Rouge A319 flying from our destination airport, Orlando, to Montreal. The clouds remained present for much of the en route phase of flight, but I was happy to be able to see the Cape Remain Wildlife Refuge in South Carolina. There are over 250 species of birds down there. This flight flew right over Charleston, but I was able to see some of the islands to its east-northeast. From there, we headed out over the water for a little bit with our nose headed towards Palm Coast, Florida, so we can start on down via the arrival procedure to MCO. We're flying the Seinfeld 3 arrival for arrivals from the northeast. I'm eagerly awaiting the sight of land from this side of the plane. Passengers on the right side already have a view of the Florida coast, specifically at this point St. Augustine. Based on the angle we're flying, the first sight of Florida should be Flagler Beach with Ormond Beach and Daytona Beach in the distance. And here it is, Flagler Beach, Florida, a seaside town with outdoor dining restaurants along a long beach. It's small, but the population along the coast increases as we descend and fly by Ormond Beach in Volusia County. It has a population of around 43,000 and is adjacent to one of the most famous beach towns in this part of the Florida coast, Daytona Beach. And within the limits of Daytona Beach lies the famous Daytona International Motor Speedway, home of NASCAR, and right next to the speedway is the Daytona Beach International Airport. Check out the videos I have on my channel where I fly into and out of that airport. So, as I mentioned earlier, most of the flight is in a nearly straight line, and we need to land in the opposite direction we're flying now so we can get to our landing runway, runway 35 left. We'll be passing the Orlando airport to its east, then making a right base leg turn to line up with the runway. We'll be making a few slight turns now while headed south, but as we continue inland, we're essentially setting up for the downwind leg now. The shoreline will move further and further away from us as we work our way southbound toward the middle of Florida, where the Orlando International Airport is located. Just south of Daytona Beach are Port Orange and New Smyrna Beach. Once we leave this area, we'll be flying primarily over green areas of the Sunshine State. If we were to land to the south today, our flight would be even shorter as we can proceed nearly straight into the runways that head south. At the Orlando International Airport, there are 2 sets of parallel runways for a total of 4 runways, and they all face the same direction. The runways on the west side of the airport are labeled 18 right 36 left and 18 left 36 right. The runways on the east side are 17 right 35 left and 17 left 35 right. Between the runway sets is the North Terminal, and recently a new terminal was built by runway 36 right. With runway 35 left being the runway that we're planning on landing on, we're going to be the closest to the gate area that Delta operates out of, airside number 4. Airside 4 is very convenient because it's actually located right next to the point where we'll vacate the runway. We're currently under the guidance of Orlando Approach Control, and passengers that are seated on the right-hand side of the aircraft will be able to see the airport on the right as we fly our downwind leg. I'll fast forward this part until we start our base leg turn. We're now in a right-hand turn that's the start of a 180-degree turn. The turn will bring us back around to the runway, and the exact point where we start the turn depends on how many aircraft are ahead of us. If more aircraft were in approach, we could have flown out further before turning. It just depends on volume. And of course, aircraft are approaching MCO from various directions. Approach control works hard to ensure that all aircraft coming from all directions are sequenced properly. But remember, this isn't LaGuardia. All aircraft aren't going to the same runway. There are 4 parallel runways here, so more than one runway can be used simultaneously. This helps alleviate congestion. The airport can essentially operate as 2 separate airports with a set of arrivals and departures on the east side and another set of arrivals and departures on the west side. While I was filming this, I actually saw a Spirit A320 on approach to a parallel runway, but I wasn't able to capture it on camera. Like I mentioned earlier, having multiple runways doesn't keep me on my toes like the operation at LaGuardia does, with an arrival runway that intersects with a departure runway, and that's it. The lake in the middle of the screen is called Alligator Lake, and the lake at the bottom is called Live Oak Lake. There are many lakes all over Central Florida. We're about to turn onto the final approach course over St. Cloud. With a population of around 67,000, St. Cloud actually started as a place for Civil War veterans to retire. It's about 26 miles away from Orlando. St. Cloud covers around 9 square miles. So how did St. Cloud get its name? Well, it was named after another St. Cloud, Minnesota. And that St. Cloud was named after another St. Cloud in France near Paris. How did that St. Cloud get its name? It's named after Clodoald, the grandson of Clovis, the king of the Franks. St. Cloud is often associated with Kissimmee, Florida. As we turn onto the final, Kissimmee is visible in the distance. The point where we line up with the runway is over East Lake Tohopaliga. Also known as East Lake Toho, it's a sister lake to the larger lake with the same name to its west. It's connected to the larger lake by a canal, which you can see as a straight line out of the lake. The lake covers nearly 12,000 acres, and a ride around it is 5 miles. Largemouth bass are popular to fish for in this lake, especially from December to March, and 2 major fish camps are available on the lake's shores. Small adjustments to our heading need to be made to line up perfectly with the extended center line of runway 35 left. We're on the tower frequency now and are clear to land, perfectly spaced between other flights on approach. In the cockpit, all is set for landing. I hope you've been enjoying this flight so far. Remember, this is a special aircraft because this is the very first A321 that Delta ordered, and we're on it right now, together, you and me. We'll be on the ground very, very soon in Orlando. Do you like flying on the A321? I think it's a good aircraft to fly on, but just like any other Airbus aircraft, the windows are just too small. It makes it difficult to film outside. There's just less surface area. The north end of the lake brings us over a wetland area and brings us closer to the airport. In the distance are the residential areas of Buenaventura Lakes and part of Kissimmee. Below us are scattered homes, and we'll pass over the Central Florida Greenway toll road, then pass over a wooded area before landing on the 10,000-foot runway 35 left. Let's end this flight to MCL. Depending on how you look at it, you could say that we're in luck or not lucky. We're lucky if we want to get off this plane soon, but unlucky if we want to spend more time aboard this very first A321 of Delta. Why? Well, our arrival gate is right next to the runway we landed on, so it's a super short taxi into the gate today. It was a joy and honor to fly on this original aircraft that's dedicated to a member of the very first team to fly her home to the United States. Welcome to the Orlando International Airport. This is a busy terminal. Orlando is a very popular place. I'm glad to be here. I'm going to take the train over to the bag claim area. Come along with me before we end this day. It's always fun to take a train after a plane. Well, my journey is over here at the Orlando International Airport. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I invite you to click on the subscribe button below. Rest assured, I'll have some more great videos like this.
Thanks, everybody, and see you soon in the sky.